This is the 2022 Lexus NX 250 with all-wheel drive. Today we're going to check out all the features and then take it on a mountain adventure. That's coming up right now on Driving Sports TV. The NX is Lexus's entry into the very popular luxury crossover market. All new for 2022, it features the latest tech and styling, as well as a wide assortment of available powertrains. The one we have here is a loaded version of the entry-level trim. Called the NX 250, this comes standard with a 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine, producing 203 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque. It's connected to an 8-speed automatic transmission, and it powers all four wheels using a clutch-based all-wheel drive system. Economy is rated at 25 mpgs in the city and 32 on the highway. Lexus claims a 0 to 60 time of 8.6 seconds, a far cry from the top-of-the-line NX 450h's 6 seconds. The NX 250 starts at close to $40,000, but the model we have here is loaded with extra goodies, like Mark Levinson sound, panorama view monitor, and triple beam lighting. Price as it sits here, $51,395 including destination. So one thing I actually like about the 250 is the fact that it comes standard with 18-inch alloy wheels, not the optional 20 inchers that you get on the higher end trims. Now these are wrapped in an all-season radial. They're the Bridgestone Alenza in a 235/60 R18 fitment. The nice thing about having 18s is we actually have a fairly chunky sidewall there, which should help prevent pinching and will minimize scraping of the wheel when we travel onto the forest roads a little bit later. Compact crossovers like this have basically replaced the family station wagon thanks to one main feature: loads of space in the back. Behind the second row, this NX has 22.7 cubic feet. Under the floor is even more storage. That's actually a very large bin, Fold the seats down with power controls, and you can fit larger objects thanks to 46.8 cubic feet overall. But can you sleep in it? It's a fairly flat surface. These do pop up just a little bit, giving a little bit of angle, but it's really not too bad. This would absolutely be doable in a pinch. Okay, let's try out the second row. Oh, it's actually pretty nice. I would be sitting here if I were driving. I'm 6'1", legs torso proportionate. I got lots of room for my knees, my feet. My head doesn't even rub, so that's awesome. Down here I have seat warmers with 3 levels on both outboard seats, and then below that USB-C sockets, 2 of them, and a 12 volt. Here we get a fold-down armrest with integrated cup holders. Now, getting out of the back seat can be a little tricky because if all the doors are locked, the release mechanism doesn't work back here. Although my kids did find a workaround, you can always do the safety release if you need to. Okay, inside the little Lexus NX 250. Previously, we had a review of the NX when it was first launched several months ago, and I really liked it. Now granted, that one was a fully loaded F-Sport, but what we have here really isn't that different, even though this vehicle costs almost 20 grand less. The reason is really in the powertrain, because when you look at the different NX models, they start with this one, the 250, which has a standard 2.5-liter engine, hence the 250. It is a 4-cylinder, no turbo, no hybrid, just pretty basic, although this one does have their all-wheel drive system with a trail mode. I'm going to try that out later. As you work through the different tiers of NX vehicles, you then get a turbo, and then you also get the option for a hybrid, and then at the tippity top is a plug-in electric hybrid, which has lots of electric output. All those powertrains add a lot of money to the vehicle. But if you're looking for a compact luxury crossover that has all of the nice high-end appointments, however doesn't have an expensive powertrain, this might be the one you were looking for. And even in terms of economy, this is pretty good. So let me just give a brief overview of what we have going on here. We have 3 screens looking at me. Up here I have a heads-up display. Down here I have a digital cluster. And then on the right I have this massive display. It looks like it's basically the same size as out of the Tundra, because it is. That's a 14-inch display in a very small vehicle. When it's in the Tundra, it feels like it's right-sized, but here it dominates the dash. A little bit too much, in my opinion. At night, especially when driving, big screen right here. And unfortunately, the brightness control on the left here doesn't control the big screen. Brightness control for this is another couple menus in. I have to click here, I have to go to display, I have to turn off automatic, and then I have to go to brightness. It's kind of a pain. I would really like to just have that all integrated, because when I want it darker, I want it darker. I don't want to have to fuss with things. But big screen, I guess we got to fuss. So speaking about this big screen, it actually contains a lot of stuff that's integrated into the vehicle. First off, you have your climate controls. We have everything from the climate concierge, which automatically adjusts everything. We also have the Eco Heat Cool, if I want to turn that on. And of course, in quick menus down here, we have the seat warmers and seat coolers. And let's talk about these seats. They're really comfortable, and I got lots of power adjustments. Now, I'm not always a fan of having the buttons up here on the screen, but I do like the fact that you just have to click them. You don't have to go into a sub-menu, and that's kind of nice. Below that, we have the more traditional aircon controls, including fan speed, air conditioning, all that stuff. And I do like these knobs. These look pretty cool. They are the temperature control knobs, and they're nicely integrated into the display. Of course, I do have a volume button right here, but sadly, there is no channel change button. There's no channel dial. If I want to change channels on the radio, XM radio, for example, I have to go into a channel. I then have to hit this button right here. Again, not the most intuitive. But for people who like screens, it's going to be right up their alley. Now, this does come with navigation. The built-in navigation is pretty good. Let's give it a try. Find the nearest coffee shop.
The closest coffee shop is closed to Home Espresso at 9023 Key Peninsula Highway Northwest.
Really good Mayan mocha, by the way. Moving on down, we have vehicle settings, and I do like this because it is so nicely integrated into the vehicle. We have everything from individual tire pressures, and yes, it does show us the individual ones. It's not just a generic, you have a problem. We can see 33 PSI all around. I can also see active output of the all-wheel drive system here, which we're going to probably play with that a little bit later. This does come loaded with the latest in Toyota's active safety system. It's Toyota Safety Sense 3.0, which includes all of the stuff you see here: lane departure alerts. It has adaptive cruise control with lane centering. This also has parking sensors. It has blind spot warning. It'll detect people. All the stuff that you would expect in 2022 is here. Now, one of the nice things on this vehicle that was an extra option, I think it was about $1,000 option, is this, the surround view camera system. And I really like this. This is the same system. You can see it's annoyed that Nick is there. It thinks that Nick's about to run into the vehicle. Look at that. You can see little things popping around where he is, giving you warnings. So this is really nice because it gives you a surround view, and then when we go off the trail, basically when we go into trail mode or start, driving forward, it'll paint in the surface of the road under the vehicle. So it kind of integrates some trail cam functionality just every day. As far as the phone, it does support wireless Apple CarPlay. Let's go ahead and put that back there. Very easy, clear to read. I love this display. It gives me a widescreen because it has fit all the climate stuff below it, but I think that works really great. And of course, then you can use Apple Maps if you so choose wirelessly. And they give me a nice charging pad right there. And it's not very finicky. It can actually be kind of pretty much anywhere in the pad, and it seems to charge, which I like. Now, over here, we do have an Eco and Sport dial to change up the drive modes, but considering this has standard suspension and it doesn't even have a turbo motor, I'm not expecting to see much in way of performance difference here. In spite of what you might have seen in the movie Moonfall, going into sport mode does not make your vehicle go twice as fast and able to outrun the moon. Just want to throw that out there for those who might have been confused by that, because this vehicle did appear in the movie Moonfall. And who's that actor? Pena. He was in Ant-Man. Michael Pena. Michael Pena said that when you hit sport, you can basically double the performance of the vehicle. Sorry, Michael. That's a lie. The steering wheel is wrapped in leather. It feels great. I got paddle shifters back here, kind of super sporty, even though the engine's not really the sporty option. And then I also have these touch-sensitive controls, which I'm not terribly fond of because they don't actually have any markers on them, so you have to look at your heads-up display. And I'm toggling through different options here, and it's super annoying. Maybe I'm just not used to it. Maybe I'll get used to that as I drive it today. So I'll report on that later if I have an opinion one way or the other on that. Today we're heading into the mountains. It has been snowing. I'm hoping we can find some nice slick surfaces to fling this NX around and really put to the test its all-wheel drive system. So that is the plan for today. We're going to try out the different drive modes, and I'm also going to try this trail mode because I'm really curious just how good or bad that functions. And then if we can find an icy hill, we're also going to use the hill descent control system, which is included in this vehicle as well. So enough talking, let's start driving. On the highway, this NX is really nice. It has good suspension for the, daily driving kind of stuff, and it's quiet. It's really quiet. Now, this does only have the 2.5 liter engine, and it only puts out a little bit more than 200 horsepower. But you know what? That's actually fine for a day-to-day type of car. This is a great daily driver. It's not intended to be anything else. It's a daily driver for somebody who doesn't want a hybrid or an electric, but still wants something very modern. Now, this display, I'm still not sold on it after using it a long period of time, but I will say that this heads-up display kind of makes more sense once I've been using it. Yeah, not a huge fan of the buttons on the steering wheel that don't say anything. I have to hit a button to be able to get to see what the option is, and then I can change the options with a little tab down here. Not exactly the most intuitive, but if you owned this vehicle, you would get used to it, and I don't think it's a huge deal. The Toyota RAV4 is due for an update, and I'm expecting that a lot of what we see here will make its way into that new vehicle because, of course, Lexus and Toyota are sister companies. And a lot of this stuff, like this whole infotainment system, we've seen it already in a bunch of new Toyotas. So you could think of this vehicle as just a more comfortable, luxury-appointed RAV4. And in terms of comfort, yeah, this is light years ahead of the RAV4. And in terms of quality, fit, and finish, again, this is next level stuff. The standard RAV4 just doesn't have a great interior. I mean, that's like my only complaint with the RAV4 is that the interior is a little on the cheap side. If you do get a RAV4 with the standard 4-cylinder engine, it's really buzzy and kind of annoying. Here though, the 2.5 liter base engine is kind of nice. It is quiet and smooth. And in terms of power, it has plenty of power for the daily grind. And if you want to really get into it, yeah, you can use the paddle shifters, and it has an 8-speed automatic. It even has kind of a cool little animation here as I'm shifting. But I mean, let's be realistic. This is a 200-ish horsepower luxury crossover. Ain't nobody gonna be, hugging the corners and dropping the throttle and really expecting much out of this thing. So the points of concern on today's adventure really revolve around the fact that this only has 7.7 inches of ground clearance, which is not bad, but it's not great. I am a little concerned that a bunch of trucks or Jeeps have gone down and troughed out the tracks so that we're going to have a big mound of snow in the road that this vehicle may grind on. That would not be great because this doesn't have any extra underbody protection. Also, we are on all-season radials. Never great, but we're going to see how well they do. The whole point of this adventure isn't to say, hey, haha, look at those all-season radials, don't they suck? No, the point of this adventure is to really put this vehicle over its head and to put it in a situation where we really need to stress the all-wheel drive system. And then we'll be able to see how well it does, specifically with this trail mode, how much power is shifted around the system. Basically, if you start having a wheel with no traction, all the torque's going to want to bleed out of that wheel. What trail mode will do is it'll tap the brakes to prevent all of that energy going out of that wheel, and then redirect it where it needs to go, the wheels with grip. So hopefully that's what we see today. We did do limited testing with the F-Sport down in Arizona, but I don't think it was significant enough to actually get a feel for the vehicle. So I've been driving this now for about an hour to get to our filming location, and it is just really comfortable. The seat is very nice. The suspension is just very well suited for highways like this. So for those who don't know, this is on the inside of the Washington State Peninsula. We're driving up Highway 101, which is going to basically carve us all the way around the peninsula. If we were to stay on this, it could take us all the way to California, but it's a very, 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 very long trip. Today we're just going up the peninsula a little bit, and then we're taking a left into the Olympic mountain range. And there we expect to find snow. Lots of it. There are a couple concerns with this vehicle. The MPGs are good, but it's a fairly small tank. So right now I'm just below 3/4 of a tank, and I show 201 miles to empty. So this doesn't have a lot of range. If this was a hybrid, if they could eke those miles out, then having a smallish fuel tank wouldn't be a big issue. But here, even with getting 32 miles to the gallon on the highway, you're just not going to have enough range. You're going to feel like you're fueling up all the time. And I think that's a little bit of a downside. Now, what kind of economy are we actually getting? Well, in mixed driving, I'm getting like 28.8. Now, granted, it's been mostly highway, but there's been a little stop and go along the way, so it's not 100% highway. So in case you're wondering, am I really tailgating this Ford Ranger in front of us? That's actually our camera car. It is filming the exterior shots of this vehicle. Whenever we have a video and we show that, people are like, why are you so close? It's because we're actually filming this all in one take. We're not going back and doing individual passing shots and doing car to car separate. Nope, we are doing this as you see it, which means we don't know what's gonna happen. Hopefully we can do the same run that we did with the Sequoia. There we go, tree down. Now this is not that nice, beautiful snow that you see in the movies. This is slushy, icky, icy stuff. Basically, it's more ice than it is snow, even if it's white. So we have to be extra careful. Also, because it is mostly ice, that means that any troughing with the snow or any large chunks could be as hard as rocks, and that could damage the vehicle. Again, just things to keep in mind. Okay, look what we got here. We can get into this. Well, so far I am just using regular all-wheel drive. I'm in normal drive mode. So far, doing just fine. So I can already hear a little grinding caused by the crowning in the middle of the road here. So far my wheels are touching mostly gravel, so traction isn't an issue yet, but I expect that'll change real soon. A little all fours on ice right there. We're doing okay. The biggest issue is definitely going to be the crown in the middle of this road, or having to pull off to let somebody by. That's always a problem. Let's see how far we can get. Oof, grind, grind, grind. So there's no real modes to play with here. There's no snow mode. There's only a trail mode. And trail mode, I'm assuming, will allow additional wheel spin to get through tricky situations, but then also applies those wheel brakes, individual wheel brakes, to help transmit power around the system. Okay, here we go. We are starting to go in elevation. It's a lot more ice under the tires. Oof, man, I do love it up here. This is the best. You know what I want to bring out here? A Subaru Outback Wilderness. Really curious how well that will do here. So the suspension is doing a good job of soaking up the rocks here. I actually really like the suspension on this vehicle for a general set of shocks with no like special, adjustable dampers or anything like that. These actually are really nice. They're good on the highway. They're fine right here. Yeah, overall, liking this thing a lot. Actually, way more than I thought I would. Snow is funny, and even though this has actually opened up a little bit and there's less snow on the road, I don't want to get overcommitted because you can hit ice very quickly, and yeah, that is a very, very long drop down on my right. With a vehicle like this, you're not going to be hitting like heavy-duty trails or anything like that, but you are going to possibly go searching for snow with the kids. Sorry, I heard a little grinding there. You're going to go searching for snow with the kids, maybe a little sledding, maybe getting up to the ski lodge, that kind of stuff. And so far, this vehicle is just great. Haven't really stressed that all-wheel drive system though yet, and I think it's going to happen pretty quick here though, because we are starting to drag on this snow as we're getting into the thicker stuff. Well, we are barely with enough clearance here. And by barely, I mean we're dragging. Okay, well, I think this is where things are going to get tricky. We are going to go off the main track because that ends. There's a tree in front of us. And instead, we're going to go left. And here is where all the snow is, apparently. Now, I want to gun it up this because it's fun. But I do have to be a little bit cautious because even though that snow might look nice and soft and fluffy, the fact is it is basically ice. And if I hit a ball this big, that's an ice cube, that could damage the front bumper. So we want to avoid that. So I'm going to gun it, but I'm going to gun it with a little restraint. So let's go ahead and floor it and see how it does. Now this is just in normal drive mode. I've changed nothing, and I'm just adding gas. Here we go. Floor it, come on. That's pedal all the way down, and yep, traction is cutting, but we're still moving. Oh, grinding that underside a bit on the snow there. Oh yeah, oh, come on, you got this. Full throttle, and it is cutting power, but that's okay because we have no traction. Oh yeah, I can see that little light for traction is just going mad. We are digging a rut here in the snow. I want to get up to the next spot where I actually can have a little bit more leg room up here. Try to get so I'm not climbing. Come on, can we get all the way to the top? Oh yeah, I think we can. Can we go further? I have no idea. Oh, stay in the ruts. Yes, made it up to the top, and actually the snow's a little thinner here. Snow is funny. So we saw how this system works when it's in normal mode on the snow. Obviously we can also turn traction control off. The button is right there. I hit it, it says it's turned off, but it still shows that trail mode is on. So let's see what this does. It's not very snowy here, but I think it'll be a little snowy up here. Let's go into the deep stuff and see what it does. And I'm just gonna basically go in, crank, and do full throttle in the snow. What? Yes! Yeah! That was fun. Now, what we're going to be doing is winding around this road until we get to the very top. Hopefully, we can make it all the way. Around the next corner is a climb that really did in our Sequoia TRD Pro. We couldn't get up it. But right now, today, there's far less snow, so I don't think we'll have a problem. Here we go. This is the big climb that did in the Sequoia TRD Pro. Of course, today we have far less snow, so it's no big deal. But I am glad that I have all-wheel drive at least. That way at least power is pushing to the back as necessary. In fact, let me just see how much power is pushing to the back here. There's a screen for that, because of course there's a screen for everything. All-wheel drive, there we go. So I see that, yeah, it's about a 50-50 split on power right now. It just knows that we're climbing up a hill and that we're having a little bit of slip. but it's not too bad. And that's good because that is a very long drop. Wow. Thankfully, there are tracks for me to drive in. Otherwise, it would probably be struggling a little bit more. We'll see how far these tracks go. Wow, that's spectacular. Can't focus on the view though. I do have to watch for these rocks. We have had a few rocks fall off the hill here. It's always a potential issue. Then go around the corner. Oh, there's Seattle in the distance. Can't actually see it, but I know it's over there. And then here's the final climb. Let's see how this does. And let's see what kind of conditions we have. Yeah, it's a little deeper snow here. Definitely looser rock. We are in just standard drive mode. I'm going to see how far we can get up this before things get hairy. Oh, slipping a bit. Okay, we got this. We got this. We got this. Oh, we are dragging a bit. Come on. Come on. Ooh, okay, so we had somebody take the 4x4 track here before. This is where things are going to get hairy. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it into trail mode, which turns on a little icon there, and that should make power shift around the system. I'll add for a little bit of wheel spin. It's not going to completely shut down when we start slipping. And we'll see how we do here. I have trail mode on. Let's see how power is getting shifted around the system. Oh. Wow, it's doing really aggressive wheel braking, but I seem to get stuck in a little ice there. So you can see wheel braking happening there. Individual wheels trying to shift power around, but it's not working. Let's rewind. So what we have here is a combination of ice and gravel. Oh, it looks like I got off the track. Okay, let's let's stay on the track this time. I'm gonna get through this. Come on. All seasons, get through it. You got it. Oh. Can we do it? I'm just keeping throttle in. I have to keep the power kind of low. It looks like it's doing its maximum power to the back. It's trying to shift that power around, but it just can't do it with the traction that we have. It's that soft surface with the ice right on top of it. Let's see if we can get a little more momentum. Oop, nope, that's not working. Wow, that's really violent. Let's back up a little bit, get back into the tracks. A slide backwards would be bad. Okay, keep some momentum to get through here. We have enough ground clearance in the front, I think. Yes. No, yes. That power cut, man. Even with trail mode on, it still cuts the power a little too much. But we were able to get all the way to the top. Yes! Ha! So that last little bit was tricky, but I was able to get to the top and enjoy this amazing view. Yes! Wow, this is beautiful. Too bad the mountain's not out though. So that's our review of the 2022 Lexus 250 all-wheel drive. It's a really nice little compact crossover, and yeah, it's good enough in conditions like this. Now granted, the biggest issue was actually these tires. All seasons are not appropriate for ice, snow, and dirt. However, we were able to get where we wanted to go today, thanks a little bit in part to Mother Nature for giving us some tracks to actually come up. But then also, you know, the power distribution system in this all-wheel drive setup. Yeah, it's just power to the back. It uses wheel braking rather aggressively to shift it left and right. It just didn't have enough grip to do anything with what it had. But overall, very impressed by this little Lexus. If you're looking for a vehicle in this class, you definitely have to consider this one. For Driving Sports TV, I'm Ryan Douthit. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share videos. We make them for you, and I hope you enjoy them.